Hello, everyone. I am here in Atlantic City for the PFL World Championship Finals. I'm joined by Jakub Kaszuba here. Jakub, how are we doing today?
Good. Thank you for interviewing
Of
me.
course, of course. I don't know why you weren't on Media Day, PFL Europe World Champion. I want to see you on Media Day. I don't know what was going on there, but it's all good. So you got this matchup against Sergio Cossio. What do you know about your opponent? I've watched him fight a couple times. He seems pretty dangerous, pretty dynamic, but what is your read on him?
He's a journeyman, right? And he's tricky. He's Mexican. He
Yep.
likes that brawling style, which is not, some. If you don't know how to prepare for it, it's complicated. He's good off his back. He doesn't give up. So it's a good opponent.
Yeah, yeah. It's a weird one because I feel like when I've watched him in the past, he's had some very inconsistent performances.
Yeah.
He's one guy one fight and then a different guy the next. Do you expect to have the best version of him against you, or are you expecting him to?
That's what I prepared for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
So
kind of have to, right?
you have to. Yeah.
You kind of can't expect him to come out like he did against what was it, the Dedrick Sanders fight? I think it was
Yeah.
where he
Yeah.
came out pretty flat and he got knocked
Yeah.
out. That wasn't what I've seen from him in the past. I remember I saw him fight Jesse Roberts, and
Yeah, which is crazy.
that was a
right?
great finish, crazy impressive, and like that's what you need to prepare for.
Yeah.
You need to prepare for that, Sergio Cossio. So I'm happy to hear that you have been. So you weren't in the tournament this year. Obviously, that was a big thing. You were supposed to be in the tournament. You had an injury.
Mhm.
People want to know what was the injury, one, and two, just can we expect to see you in the tournament next year?
First of all, the injury, right? It was a plantar plate tear, which if you look on my foot, it's this right here.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
before
you see it right there.
3 weeks before the fight, I tore all the ligaments there.
Okay.
And then I trained on it for 3 weeks, and then still fought on it. And then in the fight, I tore all the ligaments in my big toe. Right?
Oh. Oh, great. Yeah, I kind of see that too. I see how it's sticking out to the side a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and I went to a surgeon. First one said surgery, but a lot of people are saying don't do surgery. I went to a second one. They said no surgery, and then I went to a bunch of sports doctors, and they're like sports surgeons, foot surgeons for sport, and no one advised surgery. So we did a PRP shot.
Okay.
Stayed off of it for like 3 months, and then 1 month in a boot, and that's I was walking in a boot starting May, so that was when the first fight for the tournament started,
Okay.
and now it's good. I mean, I'm happy. Some doctors were saying I would never be able to compete again, right? There's still pain, but like it's not like
They didn't know what they were talking about,
yeah,
though, right?
yeah, exactly. There isn't like
They don't know the kind of guy they're dealing with here.
Yeah, I have very high pain tolerance, but there's pain, but it doesn't stop me from performing or anything, or makes me not want to do moves. So yeah, just live with it.
Yeah. So you're a two-time PFL Europe champion at this point. Ran the gauntlet twice. Is there any interest in going back there at this point? I would assume there isn't. No, there's no point. No interest.
Unless it's like a one-off fight,
Okay.
hey, you can have, we can only get you in this for this one fight in, I don't know, November, but it's in Europe. I'm like, sure, whatever, fuck it, But I'd rather not because, I don't know, I did it, 18 months.
You ran the gauntlet twice. I mean,
Yeah.
there's really no reason for you to have to go back to PFL
And
Europe.
now
at
it's
this point.
flying. I mean, just the journey itself. Like here, flying 2 hours from Jacksonville, getting in a car for an hour.
Yeah, annoying.
So nice compared to
really?
16 hours of flying to Europe, right?
I guess so. No,
2
I guess you're right.
layovers or yeah.
No, I guess that makes sense.
And then Paris traffic.
Depends on how much you like to travel, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
No.
I mean, traveling when you're cutting weight just sucks, So shorter the better. Even this sucked, I was like, God, this sucks. But I was like, well, this ain't fucking sitting in the plane for 9 hours.
So speaking of that weight cut, we were just actually talking. You have a whole thing of groceries, fruits. I saw you had blueberries in there.
Yeah.
You had mushrooms in there. So you still eat during your weight cut. We talked about that a little bit before the interview.
Yeah. So most of these groceries are for the refeed, right?
Yeah.
Thursday after the weigh-in and Friday. So I'll probably consume about 5,000 calories each day.
So crazy. Yeah. So crazy.
And especially for like a 5-round championship fight, that makes a big difference. I think, and I love to eat, so it's really nice. I set a timer, 2 hours. Chicken, rice, butter,
My kind of
onions, mushrooms. 2 hours later, cottage cheese, honey, flaxseed. 2 hours later, scrambled eggs, toast with butter. So yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so you had that run in PFL Europe. You fought. I mean, I can't even go through the list, but you fought some really tough opponents. Where do you think Sergio kind of stacks up amongst those guys?
I'd say that The first year was what? Who did I fight the first year? The championship fight with John Mitchell was
Yes.
difficult, right? He was a good kickboxer. He
That
was
was
a big guy.
That was a good fight.
Yeah,
that was one
good.
of the first fights I watched. For
Really?
you. That was one of the fights I was like, damn. This guy's good.
That's how. After that fight, I'm not afraid of anything because that was
Yeah.
like the worst that could happen, you know. But yeah, he was real. I think he was good, better than Sean, I
Okay.
guess. And the two guys before was who was Tuk. Tuk is tricky.
Yeah, too.
Tuk was tricky, and he was fighting then. I don't know what happened to him now, but he was fighting then, and
Yeah.
he was a strong competitor.
He's one that another like kind of inconsistent guy where like he
Yeah.
had some really strong performances and he also had some really rough ones as
Yeah,
well.
and that first guy I fought he was a Romanian who fought for Italy, and I took him out quick, but it was a cool introduction, right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
But yeah, like the first year trying, except for John Mitchell, I guess it wasn't anything crazy, any big performers now. Second one, I mean, I had the hard side of the bracket. I had Nicolas Scatizzi, or Daniele Scatizzi from Italy, fought in Bellator a bunch of times. And then I had Camusa first.
Yeah.
What sucked with Camusa was like Dan Hardy let me know that I'm fighting like 9 weeks out, and I was like after a cruise from Christmas cruise.
Okay.
I was like 195 pounds. I was like, oh shit. I was expecting to fight in like end of April or like the previous year, but for this year they had the card in the first week of March.
Yeah.
So then
I do remember that.
So that was fucked, man.
I didn't even think about how that could have thrown you off because you guys didn't prepare for that. You weren't used to it being early March like that. So your weight cut being at the end of February.
So I performed like shit against Cam. I mean, Cam was also prepared. Cam's good, but I felt like fucking shit that fight.
You could kind of tell a little bit. You didn't look like you
myself.
You didn't look like you didn't. You didn't look like you did the things that you wanted to do in that fight. It looked like you were kind of like held back from doing what you were actually planning to do. Yeah, you still got the win though. So I mean,
I got the win. I was happy.
It wasn't the cleanest performance, but I mean doesn't matter.
Exactly. In the tournament, especially when I was making 10K of a winning fight.
Yeah.
All that mattered for me was just winning to get to that 100K.
Yeah, moving on.
That's the payday, right?
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about that? I don't know if they changed PFL Europe, but I know they changed the regular tournament now. They lowered it from 1 mil to 500K. Obviously, that's not great for anyone, but what do you think about it? Do you think it might be a good move for the longevity of the promotion in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing they're having financial troubles, which is not troubles, but they got a tight budget, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
they wouldn't have dropped it if their budget was surplus.
But they also decreased, from 4 fights to 3 fights, right? Which is I don't know how Oliver Mercier won he did the gauntlet twice with 8 fights in 2 years.
I was there for his last championship win. Oh my god,
that's fucking.
He at the end of that he was like, yeah, I'm done. Like I'm done with MMA. I'm over the sport at this point because it's just. I mean, it was 4 fights in 9 months, and then another 4 fights in 9 months, right? I mean, Impa. We saw it with Impa. Impa, incredible fighter. I love Impa. I'm very close with him. I think the reason he lost last year is because of how active and how much he had to fight. Maybe Dovlet still would have beat him, but the way it happened and everything,
I agree.
It's just because of the activity. I had kept saying, I had told Impa that activity it's crazy for you. That's a lot. And he was also fighting at 205. He's not a 205. So Impa got his money. Impa did his thing. But he wore his body down a lot, and I hope he takes some time off after his last fight. He kind of just.
That's what happened with me at the end of the second tourney, right?
Yeah.
I was exhausted. I got injured, and thank God I kind of did get injured because I needed that break. I don't know if I would have performed that well this tournament if I didn't have that break. But
it's a good point. Yeah, it's actually a really good point. I didn't even think about it in your case as well. The same thing would have applied to you if you went to this year's tournament.
But at least this year, I knew in January that the first fight would be in May, right? Yeah. Which is nice. That's an actual break I could have as well. An active break. Yeah. So if I did compete in it. But shit. What was he going on about? Oh yeah, and then I fought Daniele Scatizzi and Kane Musa, and they were, they're tough Bellator journeymen. They're good. So I think he stacks up between somewhere there.
Okay.
He's small. He's like Kane Musa, size-wise, but he's not as strong or as dangerous. But he's also a scrapper,
more tricky and more scrappy.
Like Daniele Scatizzi. Daniele Scatizzi was scrappy, but
kind of like a mix of those two guys in a sense. Mm-hmm. I definitely get where you're coming from. So the American Taekwondo Association. I hear you're a bit you're heavily involved in that. What's going on there? I didn't know about this.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know you're not involved in the American Taekwondo Association?
I
I could
mean,
have swore I saw something that said you were involved.
I competed as a kid.
Okay,
Like
that's what it was.
9, 8, 10 years old.
Okay.
I won like, I'd go to these national tournaments in Orlando, but they weren't really like bracketed. It was just like whoever shows up.
Got you. I must have misunderstood what I saw.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
but how did that kind of help you today? How did those tournaments back then and growing up around the sport help you today?
Yeah, I guess, me and my dad would get ready. We would go to taekwondo class and then we'd train ourselves, in our house. And it's just, it was my first competitions, right? And it's stressful, right? Even though it's 88, but for a 9-year-old kid, 10-year-old kid, it's like shit. I gotta kick this guy in the face.
Yeah, you gotta square up with this dude.
And you
start
gotta
defending
travel.
yourself.
Miami, Orlando. You gotta sit in the hotel. So yeah, it was the beginning of the journey, I guess. And because of that, I have good kicks.
Yeah, no, definitely. So you said your dad kind of brought you up into this sport, and he's kind of the reason why. Is he going to be here? Or?
Yeah.
Okay,
He's usually in my corner, but for
Okay.
this one, I wanted to have my teammate Corey who helped me prepare for it.
Corey
Taylor.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
I'm familiar with Corey
yeah.
Taylor. Combat Night.
Combat
Corey Taylor.
Night,
Yes, sir. Yes.
So usually my dad would always be in my corner, but yeah, we decided to put Corey in. I did just because he's been so helpful this camp, and he's also coming here to help me.
Very nice. So who else is going to be in your corner?
So Gene Bautista, he's been coaching me since I was 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
So when we went to my first kickboxing tournament with my dad, we met him. He coached me, and then I've been training with him since I was 12.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
really awesome.
Yeah. He's from Rhode Island. He's trained kickboxing there for a long time, so he knows all the New England kickboxing legends, right? And he was part of that community, which is cool. And he's the greatest boxing coach that I know and had pleasure of working with, and I think one of the best in the world, honestly.
That's awesome. So some other people surrounding you that, from what I can tell, help you out. Steve Swedish, the reason that we got this interview put together, your manager.
And I have my MMA coach Roberto Quartero too, who's like a Duval black belt from Gracie Barra. He's an OG. He's been in the MMA game a long time, so he knows a lot. So he's really good at putting my fight plan together and incorporating the whole big picture with me.
Hell yeah. So Steve Swedish, though, how does he help you out? I mean, obviously he's your manager, but it seems like you guys have a really close, really cool connection. I feel like you're one of the fighters he's kind of honed in on as like, one of his guys, So tell me, am I correct with saying that?
Yeah, we're friends.
Yeah.
I love when Steve comes because he comes in the room. We hang out. You may have some alcohol, and then it gets funny. In Lyon for the championship, him and Corey drank like 2 bottles of wine, man.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it was so funny.
I'm sure that was a blast, though.
Oh, it was so funny. Yeah, and it's fun because I like, when I cut weight, I like having people in the room. I like talking,
So that's how you like your weight cuts. You like your weight cuts not to be like that quiet, like monotone, just like everyone's sitting there, just kind of like, like you like it to be fun. You want your boys to be like happy around you, celebrating, kind of taking you out of the moment, basically.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I don't train during, my last training was on on Sunday.
Okay. Yeah.
So my fight week, I don't really, I'll do some shadow boxing later. But that's about it.
That's fairly normal though, right? A lot of guys don't like to train on fight
I don't
week,
know.
right? I feel like
Really?
I feel like it's normal that a lot of guys don't like to train fight week just to avoid those injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very scary thing to imagine getting hurt on fight week, and I mean, just there's been way too many situations.
And you got to rest up too. You got to get your body reset.
Exactly. There's been way too many situations though where even cards I've covered that guys will fly, their whole family's here, their whole team's here, their whole everything here, and then they sparred too hard 2 days before the fight, and then that's the reason you pull out. And
That's
it's like,
fucked.
did you need to do that?
Yeah.
And then they usually change after that. They'll usually go to more of a regimen of what you're doing, where you kind of stop 5-6 days before the fight, a week.
And just
before
count your calories, and you're in shape, you got a muscle mass. That way it will come off naturally. 3-4 pounds just from eating.
Definitely. So
Yeah.
just 2 more from me. One, we talked about this a little bit before we started our interview, but shaved head. I mean, what's up with that? So you said your wife influenced
Yeah, my
that?
wife usually cuts my hair, but this time it didn't work out. We just didn't get what we wanted, and she was like, let's shave it. I was like, okay, cool, and I like it actually.
Definitely let me know in the comments if you enjoy that haircut, because I personally think it makes him look a lot scarier. I think it makes him look more dangerous, more like he's gonna run through his opponent. So you guys let me know what you think.
Yeah,
but I like that haircut.
Atlantic City, walking around dehydrated and skinny with this haircut, like, oh yeah, he's definitely a drugger.
Crackhead, yeah. That's so bad. They're walking around thinking you're on
Yeah.
drugs and really you're fighting for your life in the cage. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, last one for me though. I just wanted to give you the chance to shout out any other coaches, any other team members, any other people that helped you for this fight, help you in general that you just wanted to give thanks to before your fight.
Yeah, I got my two sponsors, XPJ Source and Grappler magazine from
Yep.
Jacksonville. XPJ Source is cool because they're combat PJs, retired, but now they're companies that they go and they train, whoever needs medical training, right? And these guys specialize in going to emergency zone, combat zones, and rescuing soldiers, right? So their first aid and their extraction is just top notch, right? So I highly recommend if you're in need of this service. And then Grappler Mag is also run by one of the guys who owns XPJ. And yeah, his name is TK, so shout out to him. Thank you for sponsoring me and his magazine Grappler Mag, who covers fighters in
Yeah, Grappler
Jacksonville.
Mag is awesome. I'm very familiar with them. They do a great job.
Yeah, in Northern Florida. So
okay.
And I want to do a shout out to my hometown Olsztyn, Chwała Ojczyźnie. I love my Polska, and Duval County, Jacksonville, right where I live and love.
How long have you been there?
Since 2004. So I moved there when I was like 8-9 years old.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you were young. I wasn't sure how young. No,
Yeah.
okay, nice. So you did grow up in Poland, it was, right? Or...
Yeah, I grew up, I guess, till I was 8 years old, and then the rest of my life.
Do you remember much of it at all? Or no?
Oh yeah, I remember all of it. Yeah.
I don't remember stuff from when I was before.
Yeah, I remember so much.
Well, Jakub, thank you so much for the interview. Thank you so much for the time.
You.
It was great being able to talk to you, and just great being able to get you some media ahead of this fight, because I really was a little bit annoyed. You were one of the guys that on this card I was most forward to watching, and I didn't see you on media day, and I was a bit annoyed. So PFL, get him on media day next time. Let's get this man, the two-time PFL Europe champion, his rightful media day slot. Thank you, PFL. Jakub?
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for watching.